Attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past.
Good evening and welcome to NUFC Matters. It is Monday night, which means it is ladies' night, and I am joined tonight by Lily, Alicia and Holly. Good evening, girls. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good to see you. As always, plenty to talk about with regards to Newcastle United. And if I'm sounding a bit croaky today, it's because I've been doing a pretty big interview, which will be on the channel later this week. I don't think anybody will have heard about it, so I'll not bore anybody with the stats and the details. But needless to say, it went on for about 90 minutes. My throat's a bit sore, so I'm going to leave it, all the talking to the girls tonight. And I don't know where to start. Let's start with Dwight Gale, because that's the one that everybody in the chat's talking about. Obviously a new contract. Lily, it's a shock to most people because at the minute he's not even getting a game. What did you make of that when you heard the news today? 3-year deal.
Oh, well, I saw it. I thought, have I missed something? Have I been to sleep and woke up in the twilight zone? I mean, he never plays. What's going on? But then I've been talking it over with a few people, and we think he's gearing up for relegation. It's got that written all over it, most definitely. Why would you give somebody that long a contract when you've not been playing him most of the best part of the season? So, yeah, that's what I think it is. I think he's gearing up for relegation, putting things into play ready.
Yeah, all right. Well, it would make sense. I mean, he's a championship player. I think we all accept that. He scores a lot of goals in the championship. If he is gearing up, it's a good signing. And if he signed the bit of paper, he's obviously committed. But the other suggestion would be that he's signing a deal because, it makes him a bigger sellable asset for Mike Ashley and Newcastle United at the minute. It means he can get some money off him if we stay up, and he can sell him for a decent price, I suppose.
I suppose, there's always that aspect with Ashley being a very smart businessman. He's not going to lose out if he doesn't have to. So I suppose, I hadn't really thought of it that way, to be fair. But that does make sense.
There's two ways of thinking. Yeah, you've got to think the Mike Ashley way. That could be the possibility. Darren Cowan says Gale's 30 and gets a 3-year deal. Rondon was 29 and was too old for a deal. It's a good point, that, Darren. Alicia, are you okay?
Yep.
What's your take on the Dwight Gale situation then? Was that as much of a shock to you as everybody else?
Yeah, I thought it was quite strange. When he's been playing, he looks so frustrated, as I've said, week in, week out. He's playing him in stupid positions. Why would you want to commit your future to a club that's irritating you week in, week out? And there must be something going on. Either he knows if we're dropping in the championship, he's going to get a lot of game time because we know he's suited for that league. It's where he thrives. Either that, or he knows at some point, as you said, he could get sold on. We could make some money off him. The drop in wages as well kind of signifies something. Why would you take a drop in wages instead of moving somewhere that's going to pay you the same odds? So I don't know. There's a lot in it to be read into, definitely.
The disabled team says it's his injury record that makes me think it's a bad decision. Would you agree with that, Alicia?
I like him as a player, though. I'm always torn between it because I think if we do go down, he's a brilliant player to have in the championship. But the majority of our team also gets injured a lot of the time, so really just mixes in with everybody else. So he is getting on now. That's the only thing that worries me. The championship's a very physical league. You've got to be able to keep up. But hopefully, fingers crossed, if something does, hopefully he can add something. I want to see him play. When we haven't got Wilson and we're short of ideas, I want to see him playing as that striker. And for some reason, Bruce just doesn't do it. But I just wish 1 week we'll get Gale as the number 9.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got games which he can make a big difference in, hasn't he?
Definitely, 100%. There's so much he can offer the team, and I keep saying this mixture of Murphy and Gale would work wonders, and I've said that for a long time, and it's been proven. They've always worked, they've always clicked. but Bruce just keeps using like these different combinations and trying to think he can get away with things that have never been kind of seen in the Newcastle squad, and goes, oh well, I don't know who to play when I haven't got Alan St. Maximin together with Ryan Fraser and all of that. You know, play the players that you've seen gel before and that you know work. Stop trying to make things try to fit. You know, saying trying to fit a square around all, it's not going to work. So try and use the team that you know connects and fits.
Yeah, Holly, what was your take on the announcement today about Dwight Gale? I mean, Darren Cowancy in the Chronicle are saying Shaw's also signed a new deal. I've got to be honest, I haven't seen that yet. I think there'd be less people disappointed about that than especially going into the Championship. I think Shaw would be a great player down there. But yeah, what's your take on Dwight Gale?
I think that I can understand what you're saying about Mike Ashley wanting to send him on a new deal and make a profit if we sold him. But I think we've already had that chance to sell him. Like, West Brom wanted to buy him, but we were asking too much money. So I think that would be the same case. Like, if you wanted to sell Dwight Gale that badly, we've had a chance to do it and we haven't. So I don't think that's the case. I think we are preparing for the Championship, which makes sense. And I was worried about losing Dwight Gale because I think he can do an excellent job for us in the Championship if that's what it comes to. I'm not really happy that he's being given a 3-year deal. I would have only given him a 1-year deal, but then would he have signed it? Maybe he wants a longer term deal for the reassurance of it. But I'm still happy that we've got to sign him on a contract, to be honest, because it's just that safety net of someone that can score us goals in the Championship if it comes to that at the end of the season.
Yeah, God, I hope it doesn't. But you never know with Newcastle. It'll be just typical of them to go to Spurs at the weekend and get a result. But we'll talk about that a little later. Let's talk about the Chronicles poll, the big Bruce survey results. And here are the results in. Should Steve Bruce leave Newcastle United? 95% said yes. Staying at Newcastle, 5%. That's what the results were there. Will Newcastle be relegated if Bruce stays? Yes, 92%, no 4%, and unsure 4%. And who is to blame for Newcastle United's situation? Ashley 53%, Bruce 34%, players 6%, and others 7%. So, Lele, looking at that, let's take the first point first. Should Steve Bruce leave Newcastle? Is that result a surprise?
No. I'm surprised it was only 95, to be fair. I'm surprised it wasn't the whole 100. I mean, let's face it, we all feel the same way. He should leave, but we know he won't. So, you know, it's...
Yeah. You get Sunderland. You do get the odd Sunderland fan voting in these, I would imagine. To be honest, I sometimes think the best way to do it, like I did on a poll the other week on Twitter, was to put yes and yes for my poll. So people who thought I'd put no put yes, and then we're still, it's a bit of psychology, but it did work. And people are going, who on earth voted no? And I had to keep putting a reply in the comments. Nobody's voted no. It's 2 yeses. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the second one: will Newcastle be relegated, Lele, if Bruce stays? Yes, 92%. No, 4%, and unsure 4%.
See, I've said this before on previous shows, and I've been feeling it for a while now. I think we are. I think the 92% is right. And I have actually said, and I think I might have said it on here, that I've got a feeling it's going to go down to the wire. It's going to go to that last day at Fulham. And it's Mitrovic that's going to score the goal that sends us down. I've got this really strong feeling that that's how it's going to be. I really do think that's what's going to happen. I don't want it to happen, obviously, but I think we need to look realistically now and say we are going down. It's inevitable, unfortunately. Or
Josh Madja. It could be one of the two, yeah, if it goes to the last game of the season. Yeah, okay.
Definitely.
Third and final question in the poll there was who's to blame for the Newcastle situation. This one does split opinion. And I think it's pretty accurate. Ashley 53%. I think everybody who supports Newcastle more or less now, and that's me speaking, just from experience, speaking to people on this show, speaking to people on various forms of social media. I think most people now do blame Ashley for the situation. It took a while because a lot of people, there are still pro Ashley people out there. 53% say Ashley, 34% say Bruce, and then obviously others 7% and players 6%. What's your take on that?
We all know that Ashley could have done more with regards to signings. He just doesn't seem to have wanted to financially support the team as well as he could have done. So I understand why the Ashley rate is higher. Obviously, it's Bruce's tactics at the end of the day, and we all know how hit and miss they are. His Tom Bowler system or his bingo system isn't working when it comes to the setup and stuff. but I'm surprised that it's only 6% for the players. I know it's controversial, but it's them that are performing on the pitch or not performing on the pitch as it is. So I think that should have been higher. And is this 7% Lee Charnley, I wonder? Because let's face it, a lot of people do blame him for being a bit useless when it comes to what he's done or not done for Ashley. So that one is obviously more spread out, and I get that. But like I said, I'm surprised the players' percentage isn't higher because they've not really been performing these last few games. So it is a very controversial thing to admit to. But yeah, I think it's right on the money for Ashley to be the one to get the most of the blame. Definitely.
Okay, we're about to bring our new panellist in, slightly late. I'm hoping she's ready to rumble. I can see her in the green room there. We'll bring her on. Hannah, good evening.
Oh, hi.
How are you? You okay?
Good, yeah.
Very good. Can you hear us loud and clear? We can see you.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Happy days. We'll just, as always, first time you come on the show, just want to know what your first game was as a Newcastle fan.
Can't remember. Some Europa League game with my dad. First game.
Does your dad remember? Is your dad there? Can he remember?
No, he's not here.
All right. Okay. So Europa League game. Favourite player?
What? Just in general?
In general, from
Ryan
your moment
Taylor.
you started supporting Ryan Taylor. Okay. I presume you go home and away. We had a little bit of homework off Holly. I know you're good friends with Holly. Home and away? Are you a traveller? Good stuff. All right. And takeover, I suppose. I'm going to ask you that because this gets talked about in this show a lot and you'll be asked questions about it. Do you think the takeover is going to go through?
No.
Okay. Now I've got my mindset what you're all about. I'm going to go to Holly. We'll be coming back to you about this poll that was in the Evening Chronicle. Welcome aboard. Good to have you on. Thanks for coming on tonight and we'll come to you in a bit. Should Steve Bruce then, Holly, leave Newcastle? 95% said yes. And for staying at Newcastle, 5% was the result. What's your take on that?
I think you're right, Steve. I think the 5% is Sunderland fans because I don't think any Newcastle fan would vote for him to stay here. But no surprise at all. Like, we don't want him here, do we, really?
Yeah. Okay, so the next one was, will Newcastle be relegated if Bruce stays? 92% said yes. Again, what's your take on that?
I was actually surprised at that. I didn't think it would be as high because I know that most fans think that will be relegated, but you see quite a few on Twitter that's like, oh, I'm keeping the positivity. And I don't know if it's just like the odd few people that just post a lot and that's why it seems like there'll be more. But yeah, I was quite surprised at that. It just shows how little faith people have in the team at the minute and in Steve Bruce. It's really disheartening to see, but I think they're right. I think we will go down if Steve Bruce stays here till the end of the season.
It's funny because David Reid, who gets in the chat quite a bit, he is very positive. And he was on the 5-minute rant last night. He's always well prepared, got his questions ready to ask or to say things or whatever. And he's very positive. He still thinks we'll stay up. I think a lot of people feel that it'll go to the last game, just like Lily said before. She's got this awful feeling it's gonna go to Fulham. And I think when you look at the fixture list, sometimes it is destiny that it's going to go to that last game, like it was when we got relegated at Villa. Okay, last question was who's to blame? Is that the same way you would have voted? Would you have voted Ashley or would you have voted Bruce?
I would have voted Ashley. Yeah,
you would have voted Ashley?
Yeah, 100% because I didn't agree with Mike Ashley getting all the blame originally because I thought it wasn't really his fault because I could understand in a way why he didn't invest in the summer because he didn't want the club anymore. Like he wanted rid of it before this season started and it was the Premier League that stopped that, not Mike Ashley. So I wasn't really that angry towards him at that point. But in the position we were when he didn't invest in the January window and he knew that the sale wasn't going to happen like overnight, that's when it started to annoy us because he should have invested then to protect us from going down like we are now and got a second striker in because now we can't score goals. And so I had a problem with it then, and ultimately he's always to blame, isn't he? Because none of the crap that's happened to us in the past 14 years would have happened if it wasn't for Mike Ashley. So, and he's the one that employed Bruce and he's the one that hasn't given the money to sign players in January, so it is his fault.
Okay, great stuff. Honest opinions as always. We've lost Hannah. We'll bring her back in if she comes back. Paul, yes, Mark Douglas on the Chronicle podcast did mention half a story about the fans doing something positively and together was very vague and cryptic. Yep, I had a Zoom call about that very matter. Again, I'm embargoed and can't say anything about it. all will be revealed in due course. What's my view on it? Without giving too much away, I will support it, but we'll wait and see. Let's see what the big announcement is before everyone starts discussing it. I'm a man of my word. I will keep my mouth firmly shut. And over to you, Alicia, then, on this. Should Steve Bruce leave Newcastle? 95%. I think most people probably are shocked that there was 5% saying stay, but definitely Mackems.
I think the 5% either Mackems or people accidentally pressing the wrong button. I don't think somebody who knows how to use a computer would accidentally press that. So I'm just going to take it as that, Mackems and people who are very good with technology. But yeah, overwhelmingly, not surprisingly, everybody wants Steve Bruce out. We can see the repeated mistakes that are happening. We can see what needs to be changed in the team. And this is a manager that's been managing for years, and he keeps saying, the gloves are off, we're going to do it my way. And then all of a sudden it goes downhill. So we can see what happened with that one. But yeah, not surprised whatsoever to see that one coming out of everybody wanting Bruce gone.
Yeah, I think when you were saying people who press the wrong button, you mean people my age who refuse to wear glasses. And I haven't been able to go to an optician's, but I know after this lockdown, I'll definitely need an eye test. But I'm 49 and I don't need any glasses yet. Okay, will Newcastle be relegated if Bruce stays, Alicia? Yeah,
I've always felt like the opinion was a bit more divided. I thought it was more of like a 60-40 to people, because I feel like Newcastle fans try to be as positive as they can be at times, and I thought it was a lot more divided because I feel like people felt Fulham still didn't have it in them. But I feel like because the surveys come out in the past couple of days to the week, in the time that this has happened, if you asked them a couple of months ago, I feel like that would have been different. But I feel like Fulham really have the bit between the teeth now. They believe they can beat anybody. I keep saying this. I feel like I'm repeating myself every week. But they know they can beat anybody. They went to Anfield, beat Liverpool. They know they can do it. And there's just a complete contrast. Every week, Steve Bruce in his press conference, Brighton are a really good team. We're really going to struggle to beat them. It'll come down with Sheffield United, really difficult team. Got beat off them. That's going to happen at the end of the season again. And I feel like it's going to go, Fulham are going to pick points, drop points. We're going to pick up points, drop points. And I feel like it's just going to run like it is at the minute, right till the way at the end of the season. And if I'm being honest, I can see Fulham edging it because they have that belief and they have that, what it is? We are in the bottom three, but what's to say at the end of the season we're not going to be there? They can see us struggling. They can see our players demotivated. They see the rumours with Steve Bruce falling out with players, falling out with coaches. They know they can do something, and that's the worrying thing. And I think that's the thing that's changed at Newcastle United the past couple of weeks, is everything came out about the mole and, Matt Ritchie and all of that stuff. And I think ever since then, there's been a dramatic shift. Before then, it was a bit like, right, but probably can't stay up. But ever since that moment, my hope of survival is just shot out the window. Because if your manager doesn't have the team behind them, you're not going to win games. And some people may think that's wrong of the players, but that's the way it works.
Yeah, good points. Well made. Final one. Who's to blame for the Newcastle situation? Ashley Bruce or players or other?
I'm quite surprised to see that as mixed as it is. I'm surprised Bruce wasn't a bit higher on the list. I know Ashley gets a lot of the blame, and I know we've been hammering for years and years and years that we want him gone, but at the end of the day, he sees Newcastle as a business. You've got to see him for the man he is. We want him to think, he cares about Newcastle. He wants to get. He doesn't. He sees it as a business, and if it's still making money and it's still getting, he can cream off the top of it. He doesn't care. He's not going to spend money because he wants rid of it, and he sees it as not his now. That agreement got made, the deposit got paid. As far as he's concerned, he's concentrating on his businesses now. Newcastle's not his. Leave Lee Charnley deal with it. He is still, as it stands, manager and director of this football club. As a manager and director, I've never known somebody say as little, because I feel like you look at other clubs, their chairman, their managing directors, that come out and say what they have a vision for the club and things like that. Lee Charnley very rarely says anything. I'm starting to wonder what he actually gets paid for because we don't sign anybody. So starting to wonder what he does. But I'm surprised. I think that other should just be Lee Charnley because I don't know who else you could add into that. You know, repeating what Lily said before, there is nobody else. It's the players, Bruce, Mike Ashley, Lee Charnley. That's the way it goes. Unless it's Steve Bruce voting for the keyboard warriors that we are the problem.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could. Good stuff. Well, yeah, it's always good. Polls, I always take them with a pinch of salt. Usually got about 3,000 to 5,000 people do that. And as I say, there will be that influx of Sunderland fans who do it. But it always causes debate, always well worth discussion. Lots of comments coming in. Alan Curry says, ever since Gale joined the club, he's been branded a championship player, yet he's never been given a run in the team. I think that's pretty good comment, really, from Alan Lely, because, you know, he hasn't been given a run in the team. And when he was playing towards the end of last season, and of course it was a season interrupted by COVID and lockdown and, you know, postponement of games, he came back and he looked a player. And I expected him, after what Steve Bruce had said about him, to get that run in the team, but he just didn't, did he?
No, it was a very strange one. I mean, normally when you get a player and send him out on loan, it's to try and improve the game. We did that. He came back. And like you said, last season was a bit higgledy-piggledy and lockdown and everything. I think that just zapped everybody. Bruce says he wants to play him and then he doesn't play him. I don't get the logic with that. And if you do want to play him, why aren't you giving him a chance? I said, obviously, it looks like we're looking to gear up for the championship. That's why we've kept him. But he needs to be given a decent chance. He needs to be able to show what he can do. And I just think Bruce just doesn't know what to do with him. And 9 times out of 10, even if Bruce does play him, he's probably not playing him in the right position because Bruce doesn't seem to know where anybody plays. So the poor lad's not really been given much of a chance at all. And I think actually he needs to be able to prove himself and prove us all wrong to say, actually, I've got as much right to be playing here as any of the other lads that I'm playing on the pitch with. And, you know, just give me a chance. And we should probably do that, to be fair. Definitely.
Kenny Trainer says Bruce has refused to change the system for Gale, so why would he want to keep him unless we are down anyway, which we aren't yet? So it has to be a sell-on fee, so he agrees with me. Paul Oxley says, if you've got 6 players or so, contracts are up, you would rather give them some contracts as we haven't got money with COVID hit and also a takeover rumbling in the background, which is a good point. Roger Cook says, I don't get the age thing with his injury record too. Do you not think the championship extra physicality would be too much for him? I mean, Alicia, that's a good point. It is a rough and tumble in the championship. You forget how bad it is until you start watching, you know, that Leeds United programme I've been watching on Amazon, and then you're seeing some of the challenges going in and how the referees turn a blind eye. You know, it could be a nightmare, couldn't it?
Yeah, I kind of touched on that before, that I think with his age, could he keep up with it? And plus, I don't know, he thrived in the championship before, and I think he liked winding the players up. Like, he always had like good celebrations to wind away fans and things like that. I think he enjoyed the championship. What frustrates me is I think in his career he got wasted, and I think he could have done a good job in the Premier League if he was given the opportunity. Not just now, a couple of seasons ago, I think he could have done a job. And I don't know what he has to do. I don't know if he doesn't train as well as we think he should do or what. But I don't understand why he's getting played out of position. I keep saying it. I just don't get it. He's a striker. Play him as a striker. But yeah, you brought Joe Linton, that's a winger, and plays him as a striker. I don't get it. I hope, obviously I don't want us to go down, but if we do, I hope he can do a job because he's experienced. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to get the right side of defenders in the championship, wind them up, hopefully, you know, get them on yellow cards so they can't kind of clatter into him as much. He's good at doing that. He's got that championship feel about him, but I just wish he had had a chance in his career to prove himself in the Premier League, because I think he could have done it.
A few questions in the chat about other players, Holly. Andy Carroll, is he next? Would you give him a contract? Obviously comments about Shelby. Ginger Hoskins saying that he wouldn't want Shelby in the championship because he would get smacked around down there. I mean, is there any other players you know, if we are going to go hurtling down to the championship, is there any other players you'd like to see get signed up?
I would keep Andy Carroll. I know a lot of people probably wouldn't want to see Carroll stay, but I think that is an excellent choice to have. If we get him on a year's deal that's pay as you play, I think that's like a no-brainer, because we aren't going to have the money to pay out big wages, and someone like that is just really handy to have. And he could do decent in the Championship, I think. Like, he's not good enough for the Premier League, but in the Championship I certainly think that would suit him, because he is more of a physical player, and that's a more physical league, and I think he would do well. And you want players that are really passionate and care about the club, and Andy Carroll's one of the few we've got, I think, because a lot of the players just don't really seem to care. And I think we all can agree that Callum Wilson will probably be one of the first players to go, because like he left Bournemouth because they were in the Championship, he wanted to play in the Premier League, so he's not going to stay with us. And then Joe Linton, I don't see him obviously having a future in the Championship, because I think he struggles in the Premier League, and the Championship will be twice as hard for him because of how difficult the league is physically. I don't think he'll be able to cut it. So Andy Carroll's kind of all we're going to be left with, and obviously Dwight Gale. Shelvey's a hard one, because I have always kind of stuck up for Shelvey at points in the past, because I think when he is playing at his best, he is one of the best passers of the ball at the club, and he's good, but it's just very rare that he actually does play at his best. Normally he's just lazy and not going for the ball and just not really up to scratch. But in the Championship, maybe he could be better. Again, I wouldn't be wanting to give many players a long-term deal. I'd be wanting them all on short terms, because like I don't have faith in a lot of them. But and then it's a game with the goalkeepers, because I think Martin Dubravka would probably leave, and then I would want to sign Darlow, and most of the defence I would like to see them stay as well. But all of the players like Callum Wilson and Almiron and like St Maximin, I think they'll be all gone.
Yeah, God, it's going to be a dismal couple of months if all of this transpires. Big thank you to our sponsors, Spider VPN, who were with us in February and is with us in March, and now going to be with us in April. Big shout out as well to Geordie Riffs, premium guitar lessons for beginners and children, guitar repairs and service and recording studio. Visit their website, geordieriffs.co.uk, Facebook Geordie Riffs Official. Give them a follow on Instagram though, that's where they would like to follow us, at Geordie Riffs. Also a big shout out to John, who is always in the chat, from qtechshop.co.uk, makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, and also to John at Jab's Signature, who makes our flyers and promotional material. If you're a first time visitor to the channel, please subscribe, like another 500 have in the last few days, and you do that by clicking the little Newcastle Legends logo in the bottom right hand corner. Hit the thumb up to like the video, and please give it a share as well. And if you hit the down thumb, don't worry, the algorithms, that helps us as well. So if you're a troll, keep doing it, because it helps build the channel. Any negativity is great for us, so you keep that coming. And don't forget as well, we've also got NUFCmatters.com, the website, plenty t-shirts and stuff on there, which are available at the end of the season. I know Lily has been in and bought some stuff on there in the past and modelled it on her Twitter, which is very kind of you to do that. But yeah, get yourself on there. John's created some great stuff, which is only available to the end of the season. But more importantly than that, this comes to an end tonight. You've got 15 minutes. Keith Patterson from NCSL currently has the highest bid for this. £75 it's at. All proceeds go to the food bank. It's on my Twitter timeline, at Steve Wraith, pinned to the top. Get your final bids in, and that money will be going straight to the food bank. So please get your bids in. And big thank you to Rachel for donating that. She is very, very talented. Were you going to say something, Lily, about your top?
No, just as soon as I saw it, I thought, yeah, I've got to get me one of them, because they are really nice tops, and my daughter keeps trying to steal it, so I've had to hide it so she can't steal it.
Good stuff. All right, well, you know what to get her for her birthday or for Christmas.
Yeah, one of them.
Nick Ellis says, hi everyone, hope you're well. Do you think Ashley has washed his hands of the club, as he knows takeover is going through regardless of what league we are in? We heard Hannah when she was on briefly, obviously got problems with her internet or her phone or whatever, but she doesn't believe the takeover is going to go through. Lily, are you positive on this, or is the whole 12 months of will it, won't it really got you, and you're just thinking, just cannot see this happening now?
Yeah, I'm done with it now. I just, it would have been nice. We all had that dream for a little while there, and it was nice to hope and dream, fresh blood, new players. Oh, the world's our oyster. it's one of them. The only plus side that I can see is if we do go down, there's not going to be as much of that red tape as what there is in the Premier League. I think it's a totally different thing for them. The process is different, I think. So there may not be as many no's as it was. So maybe it will start the takeover talks again. But Ashley's not going to get the money that he wanted. If we go down, definitely not, because nobody's going to pay that much for a Championship club, are they really? So I knew we'd end up coming around to take over. I thought we'd got away with it.
It's one of those things. It comes around. It does come around, and now we're getting to the business. We're getting to the business end of the season.
Yeah.
That's the problem, Lily, because our minds are focused now on which division we're going to be in, and when players who aren't getting a game suddenly get offered and sign a 3-year contract, it's going to create a whole plethora of questions from our fan base. Why on earth is Dwight Gale signing a 3-year deal? And it's one of two reasons. They're either planning for the Championship, or they're planning for, you know, a big sell-on fee and getting something out of it in the summer. One way or the other, that's it. But that's why the takeover is always going to be topical, and we know that arbitration is at least ready to go or is underway. That's where we're at now.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, if we go down, obviously it's a whole different ball game, so we might stand more of a chance. But Dom still thinks we're going to get taken over, but I'm not sure anymore. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It'll just keep going on, I think. So, yeah, I don't know.
All right, Alicia, what's your take on it? The takeover, has Mike Ashley washed his hands? I mean, it seems to me. I mean, I've said it plenty of times. I do feel he's washed his hands. What do you think?
I think he has. Just because looking at it, I know I hate doing it because it's a football club, it's my football club. Looking at it from a business perspective, he's got a lot going on at the minute. We know everything that he owns. You know, the high street's a mess at the minute. You know, people can't go to the shops. He's got to protect. That is his moneymaker at the end of the day. We're just kind of a side part that he can just kind of take a few million off that. So when you're juggling so many businesses as Mike Ashley does, I think we're the lesser of them, as much as you don't want to admit that as the fan of the football club. That's the way it is. We aren't up there with these other businesses. We aren't the main problem that he's got. I think he has washed his hands of it. You know, the whole statement about arbitration and things like that, the fact that they're going against that and they're still going for it and they're still pushing for it, gives me hope that there is something there. As I don't think you would waste money on that if you didn't think we'd get something out of it. Again, the only positive, if we do drop it down in the Championship, we know it's easier for takeovers to go through. Look at Derby, that went through and they didn't even have the money for it. So we know how easy it is. And if we go down and they come back and they try to take over and the EFL go, no, I don't know what else there is, because the takeovers go so much easier down in the Championship.
Okay, what about you, Holly? The takeover, it rears its head again. Everyone's going to be asking about it again, but yeah, what's your view on it?
I'm about 50-50. Like, I think there's a chance that it could still happen, but obviously the longer it goes on and the longer that the court cases and arbitration go on, the least likely I think it is to happen, because it just worries us the amount of time it's obviously taken, because I mean, it's not normal circumstances, is it? But it's just like, I think that obviously the Premier League are determined not to let it go through, and they're going to do everything they can to stop that from happening. And then if we go to the Championship, it's like another whole question again. Would the Saudis want to come in? Because I don't know if they would or not. And would Mike actually be willing to settle for a lower price? Because he's going to have to. They're not going to pay 350 million. But I just hope that it does go through. I think there is a chance. I'm not completely thinking it's dead in the water, but I wouldn't say I'm like 100% certain it is going to happen. But I try my best to just stay away from the takeover, because in that, like, the first lockdown when it all came about, it was ridiculous. Like, I was on my phone, just stupid hours all the time, refreshing Twitter, and it wasn't healthy. So I just try to stay away from it as much as I can, and I hope we just find out about it there and then, and it doesn't get played out in the media like last time.
Okay, Lee says, what's your views, ladies, on making a stand and never going back until Mike Ashley is gone? Lee, what's your take on that? I mean, you know, if we're allowed back in, next season, August? Would you be traipsing up to St James's Park if Mike Ashley and Steve Bruce were there?
It's one of those your heart and your head things, isn't it? I mean, if I got the chance to go, with obviously living in Derby, the mother-in-law occasionally buys us tickets, then I'm not going to say no. Because at the end of the day, I think the team needs us more than ever to be showing our support and our love for them, because I think the fans not being there has made a hell of an impact on them all. We all say it hasn't, but you can tell it has. You know, you've not got that roar from the crowd pushing you on when you're going behind and stuff. So I can understand why people don't want to go. I'm not taking that away from anybody that feels strongly enough to not to want to go. But I would still go if I got the chance to go, because, you know, like I said, they need us now more than ever. So, yeah, I'd still go. I really would.
Okay, that's fine. I would still go, probably because of me dad and me brother. You know, we go on a religious basis because it's the one time we see each other on a regular basis, and I like to see me mates pre-match as well. So that's another thing. And you know, I've talked about it on here. We boycotted the Arsenal game. We all went out in the afternoon and just had a great day. But I've missed it as well. I've missed the football. I've missed going. I've missed the crack. And despite the football being, you know, awful under Steve Bruce in that period of time where we were watching his team, and not pretty under Rafa, it has to be said, it's those moments like Matt Ritchie getting a last minute winner that, you know, make it all the worthwhile going. You know, for 89 minutes of rubbish, if there's a last minute winner, you get it. So I'm afraid I would go back, Lee. That's my answer. Alicia, what about you?
Yeah, people aren't going to agree with this, but I always go back. I can't help it. It's my team, and as much as the arguments on Twitter, people are like, "Oh, I don't get why you go back. You're the problem," and all of this. I can't help it. I just can't help it. I absolutely love my club, and you can sit there in the freezing and get beat, and then you'll go back the next week because you know that's what you do. I couldn't not. I think the thing, of course, this season we've missed it. We've missed it so much, a season and a half now. And I think everybody, well, obviously people who won't be going back, but everybody who had season tickets will want to be getting back and going and supporting the team. And it'll be nice to get back to a bit of normality. You know, that is part of my routine. You know, like every week, 2 weeks going to St James's Park, it's something that I do. And it's been weird not having it for so long, and I don't think I could go out any longer as soon as we're allowed back. I think the one thing this season's proved, we have lost a lot of money through ticket sales. That's proven that the clubs hemorrhaged money from that, but has it really pushed Mike Ashley? That's all I'm saying. He hasn't really pushed his cause anymore. He hasn't whinged about it anymore when everybody was saying that was the thing that was going to get Mike Ashley out. He hasn't really highlighted it himself or in any club statements. We haven't brought that up as an issue. But the main thing is that the players aren't performing. And that if you want your club to perform and want your club to do well, you know, Alan St. Maximin, I believe the reason he hasn't done as well since he signed that new contract this year is because he's a showboat player. He feeds off the crowd. He loves it when people are cheering for him, and he does his little twists and turns, and he loves it. He feeds off that. I feel Callum Wilson would get loads out of if he's never experienced that. He's never experienced the crowd at Newcastle. I feel like if he had that, we could really kick on. But I think it's just a shame. We've got some great players in the team at the minute, in Alan St. Maximin, you know, Almiron, Wilson, who are all playing together, and they haven't got that crowd cheer in the moment. I think that's really hindered us and other teams. Look at Liverpool this season. Obviously, they've had big injuries as well, but look at where they're sitting, and I think that's been the problem.
Okay, good stuff. Andy, I reckon I know exactly who you are, mate. Yeah, I did see you yesterday. You're too fast for me, mate. I'm a strider. I'm not a runner, but you were making good time, mate, and you lapped us. Well done. Holly, yeah, will you be going back?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I'm a season ticket holder. I do every away game. Is like, well, most away games. I miss the odd one, but yeah, as soon as the government say we can be back, I'll be back. Like Alicia said, I just love the club, and no matter what league we're in, what mess we're in, who's manager, I'll still go because that's just how I feel. And the same as you, Steve, it's an excuse to meet up with your friends and your family, and it's just a good day out. You know, it's that community and I've missed it so much. Like every match day, it's just not the same watching it on the TV. And it is good doing the watch along that I do with yous, because that is a lot better than obviously just watching it on your own. But it's just nothing compares to actually watching it in person. And I can't wait to be back. And I'd love nothing more than to see a full St James on the first day of the season.
It's weird, isn't it? I mean, I didn't ever expect in my lifetime I would be sitting in the house watching Newcastle on television every week, and talking about it with fans around the world. And that concept is still bizarre. Alicia does it on her channel. We do it on NUFC Matters. It's bizarre. And I mean, I'm used to it now, and it's great to have that debate, but it doesn't mean that I don't miss going and just the whole routine, getting up, going out, getting your breakfast, going to the match, and the away trips. Although sometimes, you go, got to get up at that. You've got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning after you've been up till 12, and do you know what I mean? That 4 hours kip. But then as soon as you're on the bus having your first can or whatever, and then you get to the social club or you get to the bar, and then the songs start, and then there's the walk up to the ground. It's you miss it. You miss the people. You miss the crack. You miss the songs. You miss everything about it. And football is a huge miss to everybody. Do you know what I mean? And you're right. So great question that, and good debate. ADB, I've still got a blocked ear, mate. Oh God, honestly, this saga is a nightmare, mate. I don't want to bore the viewers, but I'm getting there, mate. But honestly, I could have made a whole host of candles for Christmas, for the Christmas tree of this bloody thing. But we're getting there slowly but surely. Dodo Bird says, "Hi ladies and Steve. I cannot believe what I'm hearing. Newcastle capitulating with 9 games to go, a game in hand, and still a point above Fulham. Is this where we are at?" Dodo Bird, yes, it is. Sadly, and I think it's going to drag on a little bit more until we get the points in the bag. That is going to be the issue. We need the points in the bag, and unless Fulham start dropping like a stone like we have, then that again is going to be something to watch. Samantha says, "Great points tonight, Alicia." Thanks, Samantha. Hope you're well. Paul says, "Another season with Ashley at the helm. Can't see takeover going through for a long time, and it won't be a quick sale in the Championship either," which I would say you're right. Bede says, "All Steve Bruce had to do was keep us in a comfortable position in the table. The squad has been strengthened. No excuse from the manager. Negative tactics, wrong formations, and lack of training." And Brian says, "I hope there's no takeover news on Thursday, because we know what day that is." Okay. And Graham Coleman says, "Guaranteed what will happen. Arbitration goes against the club. NUFC go down. Then Richard Masters joins the EFL and blocks it again." Oh God, what a prediction that is, Graham. I hope you haven't put that on as a bet anyway. I just want to talk about strikers which we've been linked with, Lily, and that's Adam Armstrong and Ivan Toney in the papers and in the press. I mean, how would you feel if we had to go out and buy these two players, which we had at the club anyway?
I think it's a silly predicament that we found ourselves in, but at the same time, I think we should have them back. They've done amazing. They seem to have done what they were supposed to do by going out, and I think every time I watch Adam Armstrong or I see him flash up on, he scored a goal, and I'm just like, why did we get rid of him? What were we thinking? So I just think it's strange that they've kind of gone full circle, but then we've now got to pay to have them back. It just seems so stupid, It's just, but that's part of the business side of football, I guess. Sometimes you have to let people go and bring them back. It's just, how much are they going to cost though if we do bring them back? Are we willing to spend money for them? Is what we need to think, because let's face it, Ashley don't like spending if Ashley don't got to. So
yeah, it's true. Adam Armstrong, Ivan Toney, would you welcome them both back, Alicia? Would you welcome one back, or would you not sign any of them?
They're doing a brilliant job and they're scoring goals, so I'd take that. Especially if we do drop down in the Championship. Perfect. You have Gail, Armstrong, Toney would be back up in no time. Saying that's probably taking it too far. But Adam Armstrong, I don't know how true it is. Apparently, we get 40% back if we buy him because of the sell-on fee. Yeah, well, that's a point. We're technically buying him back.
So I think there was a fee, and there was a fee mentioned in the papers, wasn't it? And I think it was either Liam or Mitch mentioned on the show last week. That means we'll probably get him for around about 12 grand, I think.
That would be ridiculous. It would. Like, it's the most Newcastle thing ever. When the Adam Armstrong thing broke, I went, all we need now is to be linked with Ivan Toney. That is genuinely what I said. And then lo and behold, we're linked with Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney's absolutely smashed it this year. Like, it's been absolutely incredible. If he doesn't get a move into the Premier League, I don't know what he has to do, because he's been absolutely brilliant. Give him at least next season. He should be, after that, playing in Premier League, you know, a mid to lower table side in the Premier League. I think you'd do a decent job. And it's such a shame, because I felt like Ivan Toney especially was never given the chance. You know, Adam Armstrong, he kind of flitted in and out of the first team, but you could see glimpses, and then he was just pushed aside again. A bit what's happening with the Longstaffs at the minute. You see glimpses and then they're gone again. I felt like he didn't get his chance, but especially at the minute, Ivan Toney had really regretting not giving him the chance in Newcastle, because he's doing a brilliant job, definitely.
Yeah, okay. What about you, Holly? Would you take either of them back?
In the Championship, yeah. I think that Alicia's right. Ivan Toney has done really, really well, and he didn't get much of a chance when he was at Newcastle, which is something that we do quite often. Like Alicia just said as well, with the Longstaff brothers, we get these players that come through the ranks, or we sign them as youngsters, and then they have so much potential, but we just don't give them a chance, and then let them go for pennies, and only for it to come and only for us to regret it, because then they turn out to be decent players, and that's what we're seeing now. I would happily take them back. I mean, Ivan Toney, I think he could do a good job in the Premier League as well, but I would only sign him if we went down, because I think we need to look for someone a bit better than that if we were to stay up by some miracle. But certainly, they would do great, but it's just so embarrassing, the fact that we would literally have to sign them back. That's just the most Newcastle thing ever, constantly just making stupid decisions from the board.
Well, we did it with Alan Shearer. Look how much that cost us at the time. Dear me, how. David Reid, good evening. He says, away grounds. Where's the worst away ground you've been to? Mine was Everton. Okay, Everton. I'd love to know why, David. What happened at Everton that made it a bad away ground? Mine always goes down to being able to see. If you get bad sight, there's some pretty crap grounds or bars. Availability of bars. Like my favourite ones used to be Tranmere when we used to go to the Mersey Clipper, or Blackburn because of the pub outside the ground. Some great times there. But I suppose somewhere like Leicester, Peterborough, didn't like them at all. Grimsby I didn't like, although it's got great memories because of promotion. Having to go through all those streets to get to the actual ground. I used to hate Barnsley back in the day. In Barnsley in the late 80s, the coach used to park on a bank like that, and it was a thick mud bank, and you'd get off with your gazelles or your sambas or whatever, and you'd be thick of clots. And also they used to keep you outside of Barnsley, so you know how far Barnsley's one of the shortest trips for Newcastle fans in the grand scheme of things, and they used to get there and they used to park us up on a road, so you were so far away from the ground but you could see the ground. Yeah, and they kept you there for half an hour, 45 minutes, and then drove you in just so you couldn't drink as much. I mean, just do they not know how bad it is sometimes watching Newcastle? We need to have some anaesthetic. But that's my answer. I know I've dragged on a little bit. Lily, what about you? Is there an away ground that you've been to, or a ground that you've been to? Doesn't necessarily have to be with Newcastle. Is there a ground that you've just hated and not enjoyed?
Ironically, I have to say, yeah, Goodison Park. But I'm talking, I went 20 plus years ago to watch a game there, and it was Boxing Day as well, so I mean it was cold anyways. I wasn't feeling too well, but I thought at the time, I mean it's probably improved since then, but the facilities were shocking, absolutely shocking. Like, ladies do go and watch matches, so what's the point in only having 2 toilets? Ladies queue anyway. We were literally all the way out and snaking around each other. It was ridiculous. The seating was old-fashioned, wooden. I was scared to jump up and sit down in case I got a splinter. It was absolutely, like I said, it's probably changed because we're talking 20-odd years since I went. And then I did go to the old Chesterfield ground, and obviously there wasn't actually seats for the fans. You had the concrete steps with the posts round. So that was quite an experience, I'm not going to lie. It was definitely different. So, yeah, I've not really been to many, not with Newcastle anyway, a former club that I used to support I went to. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Alicia, what about you?
Well, excluding Sunderland, because we'll not touch on them, but excluding them, I'm going to have to go between Stoke and Burnley. Burnley's awful because they've got horrible wooden seats. And I'm about 5 foot and I couldn't see the other end of the pitch. So here's me standing on this little wooden seat that I wasn't sure if I was going to manage to stand on all game. And Stoke was absolutely freezing because they have no corners. Like, it's just 4 stands. And I thought Newcastle was cold, but Stoke was another level. So I think I'm going to go with Burnley just because it just wasn't nice. Like, they could really modernise the stadium when they went up, but they haven't. And there was, again, touching what Lele said before, there wasn't many facilities there. Like, everything's kind of like outside. Like, the whole concourse, it's weird. It's like half indoor, half outdoor. And there just wasn't anything there. And I nearly ended up being late, so that just added to it as well.
Bonkers LFC, I'm not sure whether that's Leicester or Liverpool, but he says Joe Linton might be a championship striker. I believe it's probably a bit lower, mate. You need to aim for with that. Stu says Joker Park was lifting. Mark says Antwerp was literally falling to bits. Paul Oxley's laughing and says Loftus Road, Steve, yeah, because I ended up flying down the stand. He's here, he's there, he flies through the air. Steve Wraith, yes, I remember that one, Paul. I've still got the scars to prove it. Holly, what about you?
Rochdale's quite bad, but I suppose you'd expect that from a League One ground. The London Stadium where West Ham play, I don't like that because it's such a dodgy area to start with, and then it's literally just like it's not even like a proper football stadium because obviously it was like an Olympic stadium, and you can tell it's rubbish and the atmosphere is like really bad. Burnley as well, like Alicia, that's just an awful away day. I don't think I'd go back there, to be honest. I don't like a lot of the London ones. I don't even like Arsenal away. Like, that's pretty bad. But I'd probably say my favourite one. I know you said you didn't like Leicester. I really like Leicester away. I think it's a good atmosphere. And I like Sheffield United as well. I tend to like the grounds that are like bottom Premier League or good Championship grounds because I think the really modern top 6 grounds are quite boring. And I know you were saying you don't like grounds where it's hard to see. And Man United was the worst for that, Old Trafford, because like I was sat right at the back row and it was literally like higher than level 7, or at least it felt higher than level 7. It was like you couldn't see anything at all. But yeah, it's a mix. But I'll probably have to go with Rochdale, but that's probably expected because it is League One.
Good one. I wouldn't have expected Rochdale to creep up but there you go. It just shows you everyone's got different views, different experiences, and some good answers there. So another good question from David. Okay, we've got about 8 minutes left. Time flies when you're having a good time. Spurs at home, of course. This weekend, the game is on Sunday with a 2:05 start. It is live on Sky Sports. Newcastle, of course, will be attempting to stop Spurs from registering their 4th successive victory on Tyneside, which is something they've never done before. Jose Mourinho, of course, finally ended his winless Premier League run at Newcastle last season when they won with, I think it was his 8th time of asking that Jose had been at St James's Park before he'd won a game. His previous fixtures at St James's Park had seen 7 league visits, and that had produced 3 draws and 4 defeats. Isaac Hayden has joined Fabian Shaw in the treatment room, of course, with the midfielder not expected to play again this season, and the defender still harbouring hopes of returning in time for selection in this summer's European Championships. There is optimistic sounds coming out of the club about Callum Wilson, of course, and Alan St Maximin could feature as well. Both have been back in training, which is a positive sign. Dubravka, Clark, Hendrick, Kraft, Lewis and Fraser are all on international duty. We pray that they come back safe and sound. As for Tottenham, Son is going to be available after recovering from injury. And referees to be confirmed, VARs to be confirmed. It's a bit early for those details yet. So, Lily, Tottenham at home. Doesn't sound promising. Jose has beaten the Duck last season. Spurs looking to set a record on Tyneside for victories. How do you see it going?
It's one of them, isn't it? It's have Tottenham put the flip-flops on because of how late in the season we are? Possibly not. You know, like you said, Mourinho finally got the win that he wanted. He's going to be looking to get another one, I suppose. It all depends on what the player's mindset is as well. I mean, I'd like to think they're going to come out and put on a show, but I'm not going to hold my breath. All I can say is I'm actually off on Sunday, so I actually finally get to watch it. So they probably are going to lose because I'm going to be able to watch. Because That's how it always seems to go. It's if I had to predict, I'd like to see us hold out for a draw, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I don't think Spurs are going to hammer us though, because they seem to be a little iffy themselves as of late. Maybe 1 goal, 2 goals, but I'm just looking forward to being able to watch a game for the first time forever. So I'm going to be at home with Dom and the kids, so I'm just going to enjoy it.
Okay, well, listen, that's great. I'm pleased you're going to get an opportunity to watch it, which is fantastic. Alicia, what about you then? Predictions for the Spurs game?
Of course, Son's back this week. Why wouldn't he be? You know, just Newcastle. Like, you don't really have to play him. I mean, don't bother playing Kane either if you don't want to. But I don't want to watch it again. I can't go through this every week now. We're getting to these teams I just don't want to play. I don't want to play Tottenham. Just give us some easy games. Well, we couldn't beat them either, but I'm hoping like Jose Mourinho's little Newcastle loving side gives him a few points. Just because I seen a quote actually said something about the take. I don't know if it's true, because it was on Twitter, so it's probably not. But apparently, he's saying something about the takeover. So could he be women new manager? But no, I'm hoping for something, but I don't know if it's going to be too early for Wilson and Alan St. Maximin to be back this week. I think it might be too early. I think you could see one of them coming off the bench for the last 10 or 15 minutes, but I can't see them starting. Maybe Gale might get played up top if we're lucky, but I can't see us getting anything from this one, unfortunately. I can see 1 or 2-0 at Tottenham.
Okay, and what about you, Holly?
Well, I'm not normally confident because I don't have any faith in the players or the manager. But there's been so much negativity lately. I'm going to predict a 1-1 because I just want a bit of positivity for once. Like, honestly, I hope we have a good game. Jose Mourinho hasn't got the best record against Newcastle out of any of the top 6 teams. They're probably the one I feel most confident that we could beat. And I'd just love to see us have a go. And if Callum Wilson and St. Maximin back, that'll be brilliant. I'm a little bit worried that Bruce will rush them back too quickly, and then it'll make problems worse and they'll get a more severe injury. But I could understand why I do it because we're just so desperate for them to come back.
Okay, let's look at the channels and stuff that you're involved in, because you've come on and it's great to have you together. You're going to be the new team. Hopefully we'll manage to get Hannah integrated into the system a bit better next week. But Lily, anything to promote? Where can people find you? I've got Wilfred chomping at the bit, wanting to know what people's Twitter's handles are, etc. But you're all involved in different channels and stuff, so give them a shout out.
So I fundamentally host with my daughter #9Talk Extra Time, which is a spin-off of the old man's #9Talk. So yeah, I'm hoping to do that regularly now as well as this. So yeah, that's where you can find me. I already follow Wilfred, which is quite funny. So bless him, he said he didn't recognise me. So I don't know if it's because I've changed the colour of my hair or what. So that's it.
Wilfred was on the show last night. He's got glasses. He's got no excuse.
So yeah, #9Talk and #9Talk Extra Time.
Brilliant. Okay, Alicia, you've plugged yours before, but let's do it again. Where can people find you and what do you do on your channel?
As always, you can find us on YouTube, which is Alicia FC. I do the previews, reviews, watch everything, basically. And on Twitter, it's at Alicia FC 2000.
Okay, Holly, you've got your Twitter there, which I missed last time, and I said, "What's your Twitter, Holly?" And it was staring us right in the face. It's at HollyBlades05. But I mean, are you doing anything at the minute?
I don't have my own YouTube currently. I'm just on other people's shows, but obviously I do quite a few shows with you, so people see us on there. But yeah, it's mainly just Twitter, and I do stuff for other people at the moment. I might get my own show in future, but not for right now.
I'm going to say, is it something you fancy doing? I mean, the thing about setting these shows up for me, and I think I said it yesterday, I've done this because I wanted to keep my own sanity during lockdown, but I wanted to entertain the fans out there, and we've built up a nice following. But ultimately for me, it's not my job. This isn't what I do. You know what I mean? And once we get back to some kind of normality, I won't be able to continue to do 7 shows a week. But I'm happy to help people out and get people on these things. And I've seen lots of comments over the last few days about it, and it's great because people love the channel and they love what I do, but they love what Dom does, they love what Alicia does, they love what everybody does, and it's a credit to our fan base. And this is when when there's been so much negativity over the last few days, it's a credit to our fan base. It's got so many people who are willing to at least go out there and give it a try. Lily, would you agree? I mean, Dom's plugged away with his channel, but it's great to see people actually getting up off the backside and actually doing something to try and cheer people up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I did just say to Dom when I was downstairs before, I haven't joined in with all the controversy and whatnot on Twitter. One, I've been at work, and two, I'm not in it for the drama. You guys, these shows, it's made me see a whole new side to Newcastle fans, and I feel like we are part of the community. I mean, Holly came and helped me and Dom when Dom did his 24-hour stream to raise money for the food bank. She was brilliant on there. Her face when Warren Barton come on was an absolute pixel, bless her. She, and she's a lovely girl. Everybody's been lovely that I've met. You've all welcomed me. I'm from Derby. I'm not a Newcastle lass, but I just love doing these shows. And I think you're all wonderful, and I hope we can continue to do them for as long as we possibly can.
Yeah, it's great. Alicia, I mean, you do your own content. I mean, has it been difficult? Because Holly's talking about maybe he's doing it one day. Have you found it difficult for you to, to go out there and start it off?
It's been strange because I started mine when the idea started coming about. I started mine like 4 years ago. So I've been doing it for a long time, and I've seen the transition to when we could go to games and we could do more content like match day experiences. What do you do on your day? To having to sit and watch the game. It's been a total different experience, but it's been a learning curve. We've learned different things, it's just been a whole different situation to get your head around, but I've still loved every minute of it. And sometimes you do get negative comments. That's the way it is, but you've got to focus on the positives. And some of the comments I get that are absolutely lovely, and I thank everybody for doing that. But I just want to show what Newcastle's about and kind of give people the experience that might not be able to. So I'm glad everybody enjoys what I do. But yeah, it is nice.
No, it is. It's been fantastic, and lots of nice comments coming in as always. Our chat is the one thing that I can control it. I can stop the trolls coming in, etc. But you know what? The chat is fantastic. There's so many great people on there, from David Reed to Dave Harrison to Life Goals, Paul Gibson, Wilfred, Julie. The list is endless. There's people like Trolls. They've been there from the start. I don't know these people. I've got no idea who most of these people are. Nicholas from The Felon, I do know him because I grew up with him locally. But from my point of view, it's just great to see these people on every night. There's a loyal fan base, and they're all interacting, and it's it's giving them something to look forward to, and it's great. That's what it should be all about. That's what our fan base should be all about. And long may it continue. Big shout out to Nathan there as well. Good to chat to you, dear mate. I will see you obviously a little bit later. But girls, thank you for coming on tonight. I think that was a really successful show. So does everybody in the chat. I am back tomorrow, as always, Tuesday night with Liam. I was speaking to him today. He's probably trying to cook something up now to make the headlines so that we can have plenty to talk about tomorrow. But you have a good night, girls. Thanks very much. Look forward to seeing you next Monday when hopefully we're toasting 3 points. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again, but it's the only